Hi everyone, I'm Ben, and this is the Board Game Blueprint. This week we're going to be doing something a little bit different. You can see that I'm wearing a headset because I'm actually on a live call with our friend Scott. Now, Scott, you can feel free to say hello.
Hi everyone.
And Scott has been an integral part, I would say, especially recently, of the TGC Designer Discussion Facebook group. Now, you may or may not have heard that the Game Crafter has just put on a Mint Tin Challenge, a Mint Tin contest for entries due October something or other in about 83 days, where the main box is a constrained by an Altoids tin or so, dimensions about that size. And Scott was so kind enough to throw out a bunch of different combinations and measure out roughly how many different components will fit inside that mint tin. So today, Scott has offered to actually show us on video what that's going to look like, and we'll just kind of go a little bit back and forth about different combinations as well, so that you can have the best outcome for your componentry as you can.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I think that the question on everyone's mind right now is, okay, I've got the dimensions, but what actually fits in a mint tin? And so even though I don't like mints, I actually went out and just bought a pack of Altoids, gave the mints to my wife, and decided I would use some of the blank components I got from Protospiel to figure out what goes in. So I am going to tilt my screen down.
Fantastic.
Let me just tilt it down, and we have our Altoids in full view. We've got just a standard Altoids tin here. Now, these tins are meant to fit in your pocket, and they are small, but they fit a surprising amount inside of them. So, the very first thing that I tried when I got this was I wanted to figure out exactly how many cards would fit in. And so what I did is I took the mini-size cards, which I have right here, and I knew that the mini-size cards were going to fit in. So I just started sticking cards in until I couldn't close the lid anymore. And when I had figured that out, and that is, like, I can't push down on the lid at all, it's totally snug in there, and found that that was 65 cards that fit inside the lid. 65 or 66, so actually a lot more than I had thought. But you also, with a mint tin, one of the things you got to keep in mind is this little ridge right here. And in order for the cards to be a really good fit, I wanted them to fit under the lip of that ridge. And it turned out to be exactly 60. So you can fit exactly 60 cards between the bottom of the tin and the ridge on the side.
That's fantastic, Scott. Yeah, thank you very much. It's so cool, actually, just side nudge here, that we both, I feel at the very least like a news reporter with my little headset on, and we're reporting live. Yeah, here we go. So actually, yeah, I'm seeing that there's actually a little bit of extra space there on the side. So these are mini cards. Is that what you said, Scott?
They are mini cards. I want to show you a couple other cards too. So the mini card, I'm just going to slide the tin to the side here. Mini card is actually 2 micro cards set side by side. And so you can see that's the same size. Mini card, 2 micro cards.
Ooh.
So if you had a ton of cards, you could actually fit 120 micro cards in here by putting 2 decks side by side.
Wow.
Now, the question is your game really a mint tin game if you're putting 120 tiny cards in there? So it might not be in the spirit of the contest, but it is nice to know you have options if you want to just put some really small things in there. The other card that I found that fit really well was the domino deck. And the domino deck are the ones that are twice as wide as they are tall.
Ooh.
And so these are 1.75 inches tall, 3.5 inches wide, and they have a very snug fit. So you can see they get in there, and you can take them out easily. They don't get caught on the ridge. It is possible to fit a business side card in here. Business size is 0.25 inches wider than the domino deck. Problem is that, as you can see, these corners on the mint tin are curved a lot more than a card's corners are. And so the business size cards get caught on the lip. And if you include those, you have to include some sort of mechanism for prying them out. and know that the corners are going to get worn over time as you do that. But the largest size card that I found was, as I said, the domino size deck.
Yeah, it falls in so quickly and easily. It's very smooth. I think that one's going to be great. Yeah, absolutely, for getting that not retail space, but that real estate, rather, for larger legibility and readability on some components.
Hey, let's talk about something that I didn't include in that Facebook post the other week.
Yes, let's.
Something that I'm sure everyone would be wondering about, which is cardboard chits.
Mm-hmm.
How many cardboard chits can fit vertically inside? And I have 4, 6, 8, 10, and obviously I pre-measured this for speed, but it is 10 that fit inside.
Wonderful.
And you can see they're nestled right up against that ridge there. If you're trying to work out how many cards versus how many cardboard pieces can I put in, I did actually measure this out also, though I'm not going to show you right now. A chit is exactly 6 cards tall.
Ho-hoo.
So for every 6 cards you remove, you have room to put chits in the tin.
That math checks out from the earlier numbers that you gave us, absolutely. And you're totally 100% on the money in terms of people asking so many questions about are punch boards going to fit inside. And although I don't know that the physical entirety of the punch board will, we know now that the components definitely can.
Yeah, we've had confirmation that the slugs themselves will not fit. So if you include punchboard components, they'll come in a plastic bag outside the tin. But once you punch them out, you should be able to fit them in.
Excellent. Oh, that's very good news.
All right, so let's talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, what's another popular component that a lot of people use in their game design, Scott?
Well, Ben, I'm going to have you test me. I've got a whole bunch of stuff off camera. What do you want to see?
Oh, dear. Well, I know for sure that I myself am a big fan of rolling dice, and I'm wondering maybe, because there are so many different sizes available and different shapes, do we have a couple of those on your countertop?
We do. We've got some indented dice, popular with the half-inch stickers. We've got some standard 16mm dice. I'm going to slide things over here.
Great.
And then we've got what I think is the best fit for a mint tin game, which is 12mm dice.
Ooh, beautiful.
So with these indented sticker dice, you can probably see just by lining them up, but you run into space issues pretty quickly.
Oh,
you
man.
actually can't fit a third one in there.
That's right.
So if you want to use those stickers, you are limited to 2 dice.
Sure, across, or up and down, rather. Yep.
Yep. However, if you do the laser etching or the printing on acrylic, you can fit another die in there. Those are 16mm dice that the game crafter uses.
Awesome.
Now, where I'm going to make a case for our 12mm dice is that when you start adding in 12mm, you can get 4 across, like so, but you can also get a second row.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can get 8 12mm dice in. Now I included a 9th here just to show you that it is not 24mm tall. You can't close the lid.
Ooh, so close. That would have been great.
So close, but it is 20mm tall.
Sure.
Or 21, I believe, is the max you can fit in there. So I've got myself an 8mm cube here,
Uh-huh.
and you can close.
No problem. I heard that satisfying click.
Yep.
And again, yeah, just for the viewers, this is with those micro cards, the first ones that Scott had shown off. If you decided to use, a single deck of micro, rather, these are the mini cards, excuse me. If you used a single deck of the micro cards, you could actually fit then, I think, 16 of those 12mm dice across the way.
Yep. Now let's throw in some domino cards here.
All right.
And those domino cards, I have 30 in there, so it's exactly half of what you can fit.
Okay.
And with 30, you can stick a couple of these 12mm dice in, and it's a little bit of a snug fit.
Okay.
But if you remove, I think 3 of them is what I tested. Let's remove 3 of those domino cards, stick a 12mm in, and a satisfying click.
That's it. So 27 cards high of the domino.
20
Or really any type. Uh-huh.
Yep, 27 cards high of whichever card type you would like to use, and then you can get your 12mm dice in.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is very, very satisfying.
And 27, of course, is half of a standard sheet of cards, so we see a lot of games with that number in it anyway.
I think so.
All right, let's stick our mini deck back in, not our micro deck.
Okay.
And let's talk about cubes.
Yes.
I'm going to slide some 1 centimeter cubes or 10mm cubes in here. We're just going to start dropping them in and see how many we can get.
All right. Looks like 10 right there on the first level. Let's see if we can attempt a higher one. I think with the math, yes, we can actually get 2.
Alright, so we have 20 centimeter cubes in here. And we got that telltale click.
That's it. So easy. So fun.
Now, can we slide another one in there? Not really.
Probably not, yeah. But you've seen it here first, folks. Yes.
Yep, 20 centimeter cubes. And we're going to go for our 8mm cubes.
Okay.
And you can see I've got a huge pile of them here, and this is going to take a while. Then you're probably going to have to cut this in the final cut.
That's A-okay by me. You know what? Now, I think we'll just kind of talk a little bit. So, Scott is, again, an active designer. He's been working on a couple different projects, and as you heard earlier, that he is a very regular attendee of Proto Spiels. Scott, do you mind telling us where it is that you usually are going or from? That makes more sense.
Sure, I'm from the Twin Cities area in Minnesota. And so you'll typically find me at Proto Spiel, Minnesota. I used to go as far afield as Milwaukee and Madison, but not so much these days. Because I've got 3 small kids with a 4th on the way. So it's hard to be away from family for that long.
A bit more, yeah. That's a good reason. We don't blame you whatsoever. And yet you're still giving back to the community. So really, yeah, thanks so much, Scott. I think you and I have that designer problem where we just can't really help ourselves and are continuously creating. Now let's see.
Absolutely.
How many? These are 8mm cubes, is that right?
8mm cubes, and you can see that I got 2 rows of 7 and 1 row of 5. That is 19 that is in there. And when I did my earlier tests, I actually got a 6th one up on top. Let's see if I can get that. It's a little... Oh, there we go. Got the 6th one up there.
Okay.
So 20 on 1 row. And obviously you can put a 2nd row up there. We know that just from the math. So it's 40mm or 8mm cubes. So just by dropping 2mm per cube, you can get double the amount in there.
Wow.
Now, there's something else that I also didn't do in my initial test, but was encouraged to try later.
Oh.
You can fit even more on the side, but again, not recommended. This is a pretty snug fit, and no one will be able to get it out without emptying it all into their palm and making a huge mess.
It's very true, yeah. I don't think anyone really likes a too cramped box. Normally we like to receive games that maybe don't have as much airspace inside, but we'll be definitely pushing it if we try to overload.
Yeah, well, and one thing to keep in mind, too, after I started doing these size tests, I actually had a game that I was planning on submitting to the Mint Tin contest, and now I'm actually not submitting it to the contest anymore.
Oh, why is that?
Because I realized that there's a difference between making a Mint Tin game and making a game that fits in a Mint Tin.
Oh.
And the game that I was working on was something where, with 54 cards, and just only 54 cards, I could definitely fit it in a Mint Tin. But there was no synergy between the game and the tin. There was no reason to put it in a Mint Tin rather than a small stout box.
Oh, I see.
And for me, like, if I'm going to enter a contest like this, I want it to be a game that gains something by being in this box. And it didn't.
Oh, sure. I couldn't agree more, is what I was about to say as I rode over you with my words.
Hey, a couple more things to talk about. Pawns.
Oh, some of my favorite right here, yes. Get some physicality, get some representation of players as humans or characters inside the game. They got, let's see, am I counting 7 right now?
There should be 8. What happened to the other one? I think it got somewhere behind my computer here.
Oh, must have ran away.
It did run away. These are the avatar pawns, and I'm just going to show you. You'll be able to easily see where the 8th one would fit in. By alternating the heads and the bases, you're able to get in 4 per level.
All right.
And you're able to do a 2nd level.
Excellent.
And still get that click.
Oh, amazing.
It is a very tight fit. So if you're including 8 avatar pawns, that's all you're including.
That's
you're not
right.
putting anything else in.
Doesn't leave any room for dice or cubes at that point.
Yep. Halma pawns. Now, GameCrafter uses wooden Halma pawns. I have plastic ones, but the dimensions are within... the bases are the same. The tops of the heads are within 1 millimeter of each other.
Okay.
And the Halma pawns, again, you just alternate your heads and your bases.
Sure.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Awesome.
Actually fit a 6th one in there.
Oh, how about that?
And then 4 on top.
Just by way of those curves.
Just by way of those curves. And I'm not doing it well because I've got a camera pointed at me. But I was able to fit in 10 before.
10 total. All right.
In total. There we go. 10 of them in there.
No problem.
And not that telltale click, but again, you can get it if you try really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other pawns that fit are, I believe these are called the peg pawns.
Oh, yeah.
And these are the ones that, of course, stack on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And these, they just fit very easily. You can fit a bunch of them in there.
Sure.
I didn't measure them out because I never use these in my designs. But one of the things to know about them is that you can see I'm standing them vertically here, and I can close.
Oh, very nice.
You can actually fit them vertically inside.
That's
and the
cool.
same with meeples. I don't have any meeples here in front of the camera. The meeples do stand vertically, and I was able to fit in 10 meeples, I believe.
Awesome. Awesome, yeah, 10. Okay.
So yeah, if you wanted to do, for example, a micro game about breakdancing meeples, you could do that.
Yeah, what a fun idea that would be.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone's done that.
Awesome. Well, Scott, yeah, this is great. I mean, again, for all the viewers out there, this is really just the tip of the iceberg. If you, again, were to use a couple different micro cards in your game, you could change the ratio of cards to components that we've seen tonight or today. But Scott, thank you so much for taking some time out to really demonstrate in front of everyone visually what it is that they're working with.
Yeah, of course. I'm always happy to help the community.
And so, yeah, let me see before we close out if there's anything else that I really want to say other than thank you. I'm thinking about how, yeah, there are just so many other bits and baubles that can be thrown into this mint tin, and I really, really appreciate really appreciate your philosophy about using the mint tin deliberately, how it might be incorporated into the design. I was thinking how you could maybe use that lid as a ramp of some kind, and maybe we're trying to get Noah's Ark presented here with kind of animal pawns, let's say, going inside the boat. Or if maybe those peg pawns that you had shown off were plungers and players are kind of working to stop as many different broken pipes as they can, with this being the main truck that they're working from. I'm not sure entirely, but again, the imagination, you're only limited to that, or by that, and I'm just loving the real-life examples that you've shown us today.
Yep, the other thing to keep in mind for components is that this is an Altoids tin, so we've got some embossing on the front. The ones sold by the GameCrafter are completely flat, top and bottom. And so I've seen a lot of people use stickers. And actually, Alicia Volkman has put out some stickers on the GameCrafter discussion that will fit the size. So you could even use the back of the box or the back of the tin as a game board or a component in and of itself.
Absolutely. I love that idea, and I hope to see that in the upcoming days of the contest. There we go.
All right.
Okay, so Scott, I'm just going to turn the camera back on me for a small bit. But yeah, feel free to stay on the line, and of course we'll have you wave goodbye to everybody. So here we go. Go ahead and click me as the camera's warming up here. Hi, everyone. Yes. So, Scott's given us a super comprehensive look at how a number of different components on the Game Crafter can fit inside your mint tin for the upcoming contest. If you liked the format of this video to have a guest live speaking with us, please let us know so that we can possibly bring Scott on again or future guests to come. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on future content like this. As always, I'm Ben. This has been another episode of the Board Game Blueprint, and together, let's build something great. And back to you, Scott!
Wait, I have to close this off?
That's it. Wave for the camera that loves you.
Wave. Yeah, I think that sounds like something I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yep.